allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. What we would like to do to start with is review the budget newsletter that you did receive. For those of you who have not been able to attend all the budget workshops, I just want to point out exactly what the board has done in regards to the budget this year. At the budget workshop on April 12th, they cut $1,163,292 by looking at every single line item and making reductions that they felt would be reasonable. And then, when they realized that this budget was still going to be high, around 8.7, they made some other cuts, which were personnel cuts. They cut the 3/5 middle school counselor. They eliminated, in addition to that, where there are 2 teachers that will be retiring. They have looked at the numbers of students coming into kindergarten and also the other students at the elementary and have decided not to fill those positions. In addition to that, we looked at all the part-time positions. There were 4 part-time positions in the district and reduced those positions by 20%. And with these additional cuts, and also there was an aid that was cut in that package, with those additional cuts amounting to $466,742, they were able to reduce the budget to a 6.7% increase. And if you saw the newspaper article, that's basically what the headline said that the budget was at. And it provided the taxpayers with a 6.3% increase. They felt that that was still too high, so at the April 18th meeting, they approved an additional one-time $50,000 to add to the appropriated fund balance to reduce it even further to 5.7%. So with those in mind, what I would like to do is I would like to go through the budget and explain to you the additions and basically where the increases and the decreases are. But we did find out today also that once we had the information from real property that the rate now is going to be a 2.8% increase, which would be about a 61 cent per thousand increase. So now we have all our information. We'll share that later. Now what I would like to do is take a look at the general support area and point out, as we've done in the past, the areas that are of a significant increase or a significant decrease. The first area is the Board of Education. That's down 13% because the board felt that since this was a trying time, that they would do everything they could. So they have really kind of reduced any type of conferences and workshops, as well as some of the policy meetings that they were planning on getting. Then if we go down to the auditing services, you'll see there's an increase of 38%. Reason being that the controller has come out with this 5-point plan, which includes having an internal auditor go through the books. Yeah, I think I can do that. So because we have to have an internal auditor, we had to add some money there to pay for this, which is a new addition. It's something that we had no choice with. The other area that you will see is an increase of approximately 22% in legal services, and that's basically due to more litigation that we've been involved in. And if you look at the operation and maintenance, there's an increase of approximately 14.3%. And that's basically having to do with the fuel, increase in fuel, the increase in electric, the same problem that I think everybody's facing in their households. And then if you look at the central printing and mailing, you'll see a decrease of 39%. And that's because we have decided, even though we felt that the district newsletter was a valuable tool to reach every resident within the district, this was one of the areas that we decided to cut. Another cut that I don't believe I mentioned in the beginning, of course, was, and it was done at one of the earlier budget workshops, was we eliminated summer school. So the general support total increase was 10.3%. And most of that really was based upon the increase in cost for fuel and electricity. If you look at the instruction section of the budget, under supervision of regular school, there's a decrease of about 7%. And that's because of a retirement of one of our beloved administrators that's going to make a difference, but we're going to hate to see her go before there's a reduction in that. The other reduction that we have, a 9% reduction, was in-service training. And that's because we've been able to do a lot of our staff development by looking at our grants, our federal grants especially, and trying to use those to pay for the staff development that we normally had out of the budget. Teaching regular school, you're going to see that there is a decrease there. And again, as I mentioned, that's because we're going to try to take a look at maximizing the students and to not replace those two teachers that are going to be retiring. The major increase is 18%, and this is one dealing with programs for children with handicapping conditions. These are individuals that we need to provide an equal and appropriate education for, and we have very little control over this particular aspect, but there is an 18% increase. The occupational education, you'll find that there's an increase of about 72%. That was because we are now going, our sophomore class is a very, very large class that'll be moving up, and the number of students that wish to go to BOCES for Occ-Ed has increased drastically. We were looking at approximately 80. We're still waiting for the final count on that, but when we calculated this, we were told it would be approximately 80 students. The continuing ed in summer school, there's a decrease of 71%. That's because the board has decided not to fund summer school this year. And then if you look at the instruction summary, you'll see that with everything there, it comes out to approximately a 7% increase. If we look at district transportation, you'll notice that there is a 8.9% increase in the garage building, and that's due, again, to the increase in fuel and electricity. So overall, the district transportation has increased about 5%. For the undistributed, we have, for a total general fund appropriation summary, it's about 6.7. We're looking at various things as far as the employee benefits there. So we're looking at an increase of about 6.7%. If we go to the revenue side, you can see that as far as the charges for service, those are our tuitions. What we found over the past couple of years is that the number of students that come to us from Vermont has decreased. Basically, I think because of the decrease in their population. Our tuition went this year from 7,800 to 8,000, which puts us about midline, if not a little below, in regards to the other schools that receive tuition from these students. But basically, in talking to the board over in Malberg, it's basically a decrease in students, and I think next year we're looking at probably having a lower number again. So that's a decrease in revenue. If you look at the use of money in property, you see that there's an increase there. That's because of the interest that's generated from our tax cert reserve. If you look at the state sources, the New York State, which is our state aid, you'll notice there's a 7.9% increase. I think that was also pointed out in the paper. And then if we look at the fund balance, as we go down to total projected revenues other than real property taxes, you'll find that this year we had put $287,000 appropriated fund balance, but as I explained, with the $50,000 once increase, that brings us up to $337,000. If you look at the rate that we are looking at, I think what we have to do at this point is to look at the new sheet, because this, as I mentioned, we had new information. If you're looking at the rate per thousand, you're looking at $22.12 is the rate per thousand. If you look at that as far as an increase, it's approximately 61 cents per thousand. And if you look at the average home with star for an increase, and again, I'm not counting the new assessments. I know there are new assessments out there. You're looking at about $42.70. I think that basically covers the information that I wanted to put across, except for one other thing. I know that some people feel that we may spend a lot of money on our students, but when the comprehensive assessment report came out in regards to the figures that were given to us, and this, of course, is for the 2003-2004 school year. They had to give the figures 1 year in arrears. For expenditures per pupil on general education, we spend approximately $6,035. Similar districts spend $7,453, and all public schools in New York State spend approximately $8,177. If you look at students with special needs, our district spends about $14,088 per pupil. Similar district groups spend about $18,266 per pupil. And all public schools in New York State spend approximately $17,667. I guess, as a final comment, I would say that this is something that has been a very, very difficult process. Everyone is aware of the tight situation that we are in. We are aware of the grim outlook of industry in our area. We are aware of how important it is to provide a good quality education for all the students. So the board took this task very, very seriously. They spent many hours debating, discussing, trying to come up with what they felt was a very fair and quality budget for our students. And I think that they really have done that. Since now that we have the new information, the rate is 2.8, which is a far cry from the 5.7 that was put in the paper. And I think that, they they have done almost everything they possibly could to provide a fair budget.
So the 2.8 is what the taxes are going up. Okay.
Which would be about 61 cents per thousand with this budget that we have. All right, the other proposition, of course, that will be there at the vote. There'll be a resolution for the libraries that the Board of Education of Northeastern Clinton Central School District, County of Clinton, be and hereby is authorized to expend the sum of $7,500 for a community library and to levy the necessary tax thereof. And of course, the third resolution will be for 565 passenger buses at a maximum total not to exceed $420,000. That's $84,000 per bus, and that's at 90% aid. And we have Mr. Novacek running for a 5-year term. We're very pleased that he has decided to run. And I think that this in itself is a testimony that this is not an easy job, and I think that's why you find we don't have too many people who are stepping forth. But I am really pleased that Steve's going to be running again. I'm sure the rest of the board is. The other information that I think is important is to make sure that people are aware that the next public meeting will be May 15th at the high school, and that the vote is on May 16th.
Bob, do you have a number of how much increase will be on resolutions 2 and 3?
You mean as far as
Taxes.
taxes go up?
Going up 61 cents per thousand. The budget itself, how much will be libraries in the budget?
The library is minimal, but I think that
We have the library at 5 cents,
5 cents.
but
We had it before, but it's new bigger than it does in calculate.
so 5.2.
So the new numbers, that'd be about 3 cents.
That's about 5.2.
The libraries itself? 5.2 cents? So 5 cents. How about?
Okay, while she was looking for it, stand, give us your name, please.
Joanne Bernard. A couple of things. I think the newsletter that you put out is very nice, and I enjoy it. A couple of suggestions, maybe if you don't print it in color, maybe you do it in-house and just send it for those things to be printed, maybe it wouldn't cost very much money on it.
I think the majority of the cost of doing that was also postage, because we were sending it out to every resident in the district.
So maybe you could send it home to the kids to,
And we do that. I mean, each of the elementaries, for instance, sends out, a small newsletter, but our hope with the district newsletter was to be able to let everybody in the community know. We may be able to look at it all the way. I appreciate your.
Okay. And what is the rate of health, of the percentage of health insurance that the employees pay of the premium?
That basically varies by contract. Okay, it ranges from 5% up to probably 10%. 10 for currently 10.
So like 5% probably non-instructional, 10% instructional or teachers or?
At this time, I guess, and the reason it's the same situation when Shan called me, is we're still in the process of finalizing negotiations with the teachers. And so we really can't tell you exactly what it's going to be, but right now, it's 8%. But next year, they have a new contract in the non-instructional right.
So like they see in your agenda, you're going to ratify the teacher contract.
But
So-
until it's ratified, it's not official.
But like you're going to ratify it for like 5 years or 3 years out, or you're either behind or, are you like, is your contract behind?
No, it starts effective in
July?
Yes, September.
So it's like a 3-year contract or a 5-year contract or something?
Right, that's
And
correct.
will the rate increase each year that the teachers are going to pay?
I can't share that because that's contractual negotiation until it's ratified, once it's ratified.
Well, I hope as a taxpayer that each year they're going to pay more, since I know the premium is over 14 grand a year. And you know, 10%, I mean, it's a lot of money to the taxpayers. Because myself as a taxpayer, my taxes are going up $753 with the rate adjustment that you just made, but I got reassessed again. This is the third reassessment within the last 5 years. And I just got reassessed at 25%, and I haven't done anything yet.
I understand, we have a lot of people who have high views.
And I know you don't do the assessing, it's the assessor. But I know your taxes are based upon the assessed value. And I know the town of Moore is gonna hit hard. Most everybody in the town of Moore is gonna be assessed. And we just got it in the mail on Saturday.
I know.
Really, your tax rate, Bob, is really going to go up 6.6%. You say 61.
61 cents.
Right. But it still comes out to 6.6%. You take the two figures from 22,739 to 24,259. You're going to see a 6.6%, no matter how you look at it. You're taking advantage of assessed value.
Jack, did you use the new sheet though, Jack, that came out? Did you see the new sheet?
That's right.
This one, you got this color?
This one, yeah. Because we just, because of the new assessment that came out in Wars, we talked to real property, and real property told us that based upon the information that we had, we calculated it, because it was 5.7, now it's 10.
Yeah, I'm going by the figure of your budget. You're taking, the budget is up.
Right, the budget is 6, yeah, that's correct, that doesn't change.
Can you tell me how you figure this out here? For $50,000, you went from 6.3 to 5.7. There's no way you put 50,000 great. Up here, you got your 466,000. You went down 4%, 6.7 to 6.2. Now you can take an additional 50,000 off and drop it 6%. 0.6%.
What's on the chopping block if you go to contingency?
If we go to contingency, that would mean the board would have to reconvene a lot of things that we had talked about before, we fought so hard to maintain, would probably be considered as to exactly what the board would make a final decision on. I can't tell you, but I know that the pool was one of the issues that we had looked at. I think we came up with the last meeting, somebody mentioned think the board took that into consideration, trying to maintain everything. And we tried to put electives in at no cost. Everything that we have tried to do new, we've tried to do at no cost. And thanks to the cooperation from the teachers and the staff and everyone's been working as hard as they possibly can. Because you can see where the increase in the budget is. It's really not in the regular ed, and there's nothing that we can really do about that. We do need to provide an appropriate and equal education, and we try to do the very best we can. We can't determine, what that increase in that special ed population is. I just need, right now, we're still in the process of doing annual reviews. Anyone who's aware knows that every year you do the annual reviews, and whatever the needs are, those have to be assessed by committee. So.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break before we go into the regular meeting. They can't hear me.
Okay, Jill, speak up a little bit.
Call the meeting to order at, or do we have to do this? Okay, 7:12. Okay, now is the time for opinions and concerns from the audience. If you
As the board looked at White Bears and their possible closure, and that's going to do the school district with the assessment, have you been looking at that, or?
Yes, we're keeping abreast of that. We've been meeting with them.
Because I know in Champlain, when Harris Rapids closed, their assessment really dropped, because they didn't put back in what was in there. So their assessment dropped, I don't know, like $2 million or $4 million, which was a big hit to the local taxpayer.
We're working on that. We're trying to negotiate, work with YMC. We're working on, there's a transition committee, I don't know if you're aware of or not, but the county and even some representatives from Plattsburgh are involved with that too. We're doing everything we can to try to make that transition as smooth as possible. And we're also working on trying to see what we can do as far as our decrease in revenue.
I also see they're giving away free stuff, that if you need something, you should contact them. I see that in the paper. They're not-for-profit organizations, they're donating it to not-for-profit organizations.
We did go, we were invited, and what it is basically was some file cabinets and furniture of that nature that they no longer needed. And there were several different organizations that were there, and you were given a sticker to go around, and if it's something you thought you could use, you would put your sticker on that item. Of course, there were probably several stickers on all items that were really good, but they said that they would basically take a look at the situation and try to disperse it equally.
Lynn?
I was concerned at a previous board meeting, there was some talk of a survey that the children would possibly be taking, and how the parents would be notified and giving permission for that. I don't have a problem with the permission part, but I am concerned about the content of the survey the children will be taking. Will parents know what is on this? And in my opinion, personal things that go on in children's, students' lives should remain their personal business as far as I'm not sure what is on the survey, but if there's anything about personal habits or sexual orientation or things that go on in their personal life, I don't, in my opinion, believe that as a parent that should be evaluated on a survey, and that students will be, I think some will be affected by that.
That is on for discussion when the board comes to the discussion items. That is one of the things that they will be discussing tonight, whether it is active consent or passive consent.
Yeah, but I was concerned with the actual content of the survey as far as children go. Some of that should remain people's and students' personal business. That's what I'm concerned about. What will be on there. I myself would not like my children, even if it is a survey that is confidential, having to be put in that position to answer those questions.
Usually, I'm just going to answer this, and I was thinking we should be having a discussion, but when there is a survey like that that is given, that survey is usually made available in the office, especially whether it's active or passive consent, so that the parent can come in, take a look at it, and then they can decide for themselves whether they would like to have their child participate. So
That might be a good thing to be let known to the parents, that it is available for their oversee if they'd like to. My second thing that I wanted to bring up, I haven't heard much about it. I didn't know if you're still considering the GED program or not. And that was kind of tabled a few times, and I didn't know if that was still going to be discussed. Concerned about that. My husband was concerned about if there was only 1 or 2 students, minimum amount of students, is the program still going to continue? That might be a good thing to consider.
That's also a good discussion.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry, I'm not on the other side of the table.
Yeah, and I have to compliment you because Lynn has been coming to our board meetings, so she's aware of what's going on, so her active role is really okay.
Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else? I need a motion to approve the previous minutes of the special board meeting on April 18th, 2006. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report, multi-fund, March 2006, capital bus borrowing number 4, March 2006, unemployment, March 2006, tax or sharing, March 2006. So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend approving the Committee on Preschool Special Education recommendations from their meeting held on 4/21/06. So moved.
Second.
I met with Mrs. Hunt, and I'm going to ask you to approve this the recommendations of the 21st. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to approve the Committee on Special Education recommendations from their meetings held on April 4, 5, 6, 19, 20, 21, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28, 2006.
So moved.
I met with Mrs. Hunt and we went over these recommendations. It was a total of 113 meetings. And in these 113 meetings, it is going to cost the district another $41,495. Some of it is technical consultations, some of it is new students, some of it are placements that were budgeted but not budgeted high enough. Some of them are aids that were not budgeted because of new placements. And Mrs. Hunt is here if you need this to go to exec and have her explain. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to approve the probationary appointment of Diane Thompson for a period of 3 years beginning July 1, 2006 and ending June 30, 2009 in the certification tenure area of elementary principal. Salary per contract for the 11-month, 10-day position. Mrs. Thompson holds a valid New York State certificate in the certification tenure area of school administrator supervisor.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to approve the probationary appointment of Thomas Brendel for the period of 3 years beginning July 1, 2006, and ending June 30, 2009, in the certification tenure area of middle school principal, salary $70,000 for the 11-month, 10-day position. Mr. Brendel holds a valid New York State certificate in the certification tenure area of school administrator/supervisor. Request authorization to post and advertise assistant principal position. Discussion?
Yes, I feel that this is a point in time where I support the move of Mr. Brandel, but also with the advertising of the assistant principal. I feel with the hard times in the budget, I'd like to see that we cut this position, as we discussed. Now would be a good opportunity to take advantage of that.
All right, now that's amended motion, or is this going to be a brand new motion? This is just a discussion.
It's discussion right now because it's a two-part proposal. And we're asking two things. We're asking the movement of an administrator and then the request authorization to post. I think this is an opportunity to take advantage of this position and not fill it until we at least see what's going on with this budget.
Well, Madam Vice President, would you entertain a motion to separate, to amend this and make it two parts? That we put the approving the probationary appointment with Mr. Brandel as one issue, and then the request authorization to post as a second item? So that
I would entertain that motion.
I'd like to make that motion, please.
Okay. And Randy, second? We are voting on the amendment to separate these two. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Now then, we are voting on the motion, the probationary appointment of Thomas Brendel.
I have a question. Oh, we're gonna-
DeBeer?
You need a motion.
I think you need a motion because we separated the two out now.
Okay, so now I need a motion I need a motion approving the probationary appointment of Thomas Brendel for a period of 3 years beginning July 1, 2006, ending July 30, 2009, in the certification tenure area of middle school principal, salary $70,000 for the 11-month, 10-day position. Mr. Brendel holds a valid New York State certificate in the certification tenure area of school administrator supervisor.
So,
Okay, discussion.
yes, on the 70,000, is that what you're earning now?
No, it's not.
How much of an increase is that?
It's probably $3,000 or $4,000 increase if you're looking at next year's salary. But that's where we started our middle school principal last year.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Now, I need a motion to request authorization to post and advertise the assistant principal position.
So moved.
Discussion.
I think we should wait for the posting till after we see how the budget is going to go. It's very foolish to post it, and then all at once we have to cut the position because if the budget doesn't pass or something like that.
But I think we can still post and advertise, it doesn't mean you have to fill it, or even interview for it. Just give it permission to go ahead and post and to start drawing something up if we have to.
Yeah, we wouldn't.
We'd have to come
We
back.
wouldn't be able to appoint in time if we were going to do interviews, by the time the budget, by the time the budget goes.
It's 2 weeks, the next meeting, and otherwise we're going to lose another 2 weeks after that. So I think if we have that, You can still post it and advertise it, and you have to fill it. There's no requirement that you have to fill a job. We've done that many times in the past.
So this position with benefits and everything included is approximately 90+ thousand
With the benefits, anyway.
with benefits.
But we haven't
Sorry.
established a salary.
No, and that's why it's there. It's taken as a blank.
But I said is that it's in the present budget that we just reviewed.
That's correct.
The question would come up, obviously, as they point out, if we had to go to contingency, this might be something we, right now, this is the budget.
Is there an increase in high school enrollment next year? The increase, basically, we still have a big bubble. We still have a lot of kids in there. The sophomore class is large.
I think it's supposed to be about 620 next year.
Yeah, I just think that's an awful lot of students for one person to handle because of prices during the day.
Or if administrator leaves, either of the administrators leaves
If you're talking 300 students, maybe that's, yeah, okay, 400 students, maybe one person can handle that. But I don't think one person can handle 620, 630 people between 13 and 17 years of age. I probably couldn't handle 10 of them, let alone 600 of them.
We also have middle school that helps out with too.
Have we ever had 300 students in the high school? Has there ever been a time where there's been 300 in the high school at one time?
When I started, it was about 5.
About 5 people.
Any further discussion? All in favor of posting the assistant principal position?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Yankovic?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley?
Yes.
Mr. McCount?
No.
Mr. Neto?
No.
Mr. Novacek?
Yes.
Ms. Marks?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I need a motion to recommend Heidi Stick be granted tenure as an elementary teacher effective October 1st, 2006. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend Lynn Lemire be granted tenure as an elementary teacher effective September 1, 2006.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Welcome. I need a motion recommending Melody Trombley be granted tenure as a social studies teacher effective September 1st, 2006. Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a recommendation to approve Cindy Rover tenure as a school psychologist effective September 1, 2006.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute, discussion, I'm sorry.
Does she have retirement because of her leave? She's on leave now, right?
Correct.
Does she have her 3-year period in? You don't count leave time, right? But she's in her 4th year. Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend Robert Mullen be granted tenure as an English teacher 7 through 12, effective September 1, 2006.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend Sarah Hanfield be granted tenure as an English teacher 7 through 12, effective September 1, 2006.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend Gretchen Morris be granted tenure as an English teacher 7 through 12, effective September 1, 2006.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend Lisa Bordeaux be granted tenure as a science teacher effective September 1, 2006.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion recommending Stephanie Wells be granted tenure as a mathematics teacher effective September 1, 2006.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend accepting the letter of resignation received from Christian Whistler, living environment teacher, effective June 30, 2006.
So moved.
And, excuse me, Randy, they just told me to add and request authorization to post.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I think I would just like to say that this has been an excellent asset, but unfortunately, he's going to be moving closer to his home and in a better position.
I heard he's absent.
We're really going to miss him.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend posting and advertising for a school tax collector. Mary Rasco is indicated as of June 30 that she does not want to be reappointed.
So moved.
Second.
With regrets, Nancy.
Yes. that-
She's done a wonderful job.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a resolution. Wait. I need a resolution from the board to ratify the tentative agreement between the superintendent of schools of the Northeastern Clinton Central School District and the Northeastern Clinton Central School Teachers Association.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Look at this smirk. All right, I need a motion to recommend approving the 2005-2007 board goals.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, in talking today to some of the board members, a suggestion was made that we put an end date on each of the goals, and they have to change so that each of the goals now does have an end date so that we can see whether it has been accomplished or not. So the goal is basically the same, except that the end date is added to it, which I think makes it a better goal.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend approving the request from Bo, whomever, to operate at the whatever, that's what I said. To operate a soccer camp using the soccer fields from August 7th to August 11th, 2006. Hour of operation 9 a.m. until noon. The Champlain Youth Commission will sponsor this program.
Second.
Discussion?
All ages will be allowed to attend this program?
I think it's 5 through 18,
5 through 18?
or 5 through, I believe that's what it is.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend approving the request from Andy Landry to operate a not-for-profit girls' summer basketball program from June 26 to June 30, 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. Champlain Youth Commission will sponsor the program, high school and middle school gyms.
So moved.
Oh, any discussion?
Same thing goes with this, the ages that'll be allowed to attend?
I'm not sure what they're.
Basically, I'm looking at the information that was given to me. It says, I don't think the ages are on it.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm saying, if it's being sponsored by the youth commission, is that open? I mean, is
I would assume it is, Randy, but I can't tell you exactly.
So that would be my point, is it the younger kids up?
Yes,
or is it-
yes, it is.
Can we get that clarified though? before the
I will.
program starts? Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend approving the request from Ben Banker to operate a not-for-profit volleyball program from June 26 to June 30 from 12 to 3:30 p.m. Champlain Youth Commission will sponsor this program, high school and middle school gyms.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, the grades on this one are 7 through 12.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend approving the bid for trash removal for the 2006-2007 school year to Northern Sanitation, Inc. in the amount of $28,674.09 in compliance with our specifications.
Second.
Discussion?
Was this was the only bid?
This was the only bid, and not only that, we have been very, very pleased with their service. They have gone out of their way to make sure that everything is the way it should be. And, but they were the only ones that did that.
And did they say, tell you any reason why the 10% increase, mostly fuel?
Probably. They didn't say it specifically, but I'm sure that's factored in.
And it was, I'm sure it was posted in the paper.
Oh, yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend adding the following people to the 2005-2006 substitute list. Non-certified Brenda Bennett and Joseph Reed Schaefer. And for teacher's aide, Brenda Bennett.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend payment to Dataflow for digital prints impressions punched and bound with clear covers in the amount of $170.70.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
These were prints that were done for us, they were digital prints done on bond, and basically at the WPS, that's part of our agreement with them. If there's any cost on printing that we have to pay for.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I need a motion to recommend payment to WPS Consulting Engineers PC in the amount of $671.82 for professional services rendered for the middle school boiler room project, reimbursable expense for traveling April 5 and 12.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay. Information, report on the videotape review committee meeting on March 20th, 2006.
Basically, we had our first meeting, Silva was there, formal, and we met with Carl, we reviewed two of the tapes. We looked at a regular AM run, and we found that there really were no real problems on that. We also looked at the second bus video was bus on a regular AM run, and I think there were one or two points that were brought out, and we talked to Mr. Minor, and he was going to address those issues with the bus driver. So I thought it went very well for the first one. I think we decided that our next meeting is going to be May 31st from 5 to 6 p.m.
The one problem that seems to be consistent with not stating the date and the time, they really need to get in that habit. You have to ask them to do that, because on a lot of those buses, we found that sometimes there are glitches, and it's very important that those drivers have a recorded message of the proper date and time to be able to point out if there are any questions on something that happens. It's got to be pressed.
Along with that, if we could, as the committee goes through, if you could jot down just what the findings are, and when we do our liaison meetings with the CSEA, we could probably discuss that.
Okay.
With their representatives, they can put the information up that for you.
Okay.
The other item, you see to the dividend check, I think we usually receive something from our insurance company, from Paul Katz. They basically, I guess we had a real good record for that year, and we received a dividend check of $13,736.54. This is one thing that Paul Katz Insurance does for us. If we have an exemplary year or whatever, they usually provide us with a dividend check. So that's something we should also take into consideration when we look at the RFPs for the insurance.
This is real picky, but Celine mentions 2 checks.
That's
The
a
combined.
That was the combined, oh, okay. I couldn't tell from the way it read, it looked like, hey, 2 checks.
Yeah, the 2 checks, 13.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the district reading
Okay,
committee.
district reading committee, I think when we had talked about this prior, we had looked at, we need to come up with a program that's going to be district-wide as far as reading goes. And what we did is we invited almost anyone who wanted to come. We had several meetings and discussions. We've even, and this was also tied in with the school, in the improvement of the city grants, because we had some money there that we were looking at. So we were really looking at trying to use some of that money to provide a direction for us to go into reading. And reading intervention, which we're going to talk about later in discussion, is all part of it. All of these factors are involved, and we needed to make sure that whatever program we chose had to be scientifically based and research-based. So we did look at several different programs as we did this, and we had some visitations. We looked at Carport Race, we looked at Open Court, and we also looked at the Reading and 100-Book Challenge. And the main idea was to select a program that we would be able to put in for our AIS or remediation and also for resource, so that we could work with those kids who needed to improve their sport. So one of the selections that the committee has right now, and we're looking at, because we do have to expend the funds, first when we did the grant, we put in Wilson, but then individuals felt that they wanted to look at other programs, and that's why we formed the district reading committee, is the 100-Book Challenge. And we are looking at, we just received a price list the other day, we're looking at trying to put that together. And this is a program, one of the reasons is that it will help us, even though we will be purchasing material at the middle level, they are really baskets of books that are leveled, and purchasing the high end of the middle level will allow us to use those materials for remediation at the higher end in the high school, and purchasing the books at the lower level for the middle will allow us to expand those books into the
elementaries. So we will all be able to at least get a taste of this new program. This is one of the concerns we had, and when I talked to the representative, and this is what we're trying to work out. So this is what we're going, we have to expend our funds, so this is the direction we're going to be going in. I also asked those who went and observed this program and did an excellent presentation to us. So I'm going to ask them to do a presentation to you in June on the 100 Books program, because I think it'll be very informative for you, to say the least. So this is the direction that we're headed in right now. So we are going to probably use the money that we have from the city grant in order to purchase the main part of this particular program.
This afternoon, when I was meeting with Mrs. Hunt, we had some discussion about the reading in the lower levels pertaining toward the special ed program type of thing. Was Mrs. Hunt involved in this at all?
Mrs. Hunt was involved in more ways than one. Mrs. Hunt controls the purse strings, so she is
Okay,
aware.
I just wanted to make sure that, because about what we were talking about this afternoon, that you had a voice in this.
And also, we have been looking at, something that we can use and expand upon. That doesn't mean that is going to be the sole program that we will be using, but it will be one that will give us the direction that we want to go. And then the other aspect of this, to make sure that it did meet all the criteria, the scientifically based research program, I called Fran in from BOCES, and she ran through practically all the tests, and she said it really meets it. It's an outstanding program. It will be recognized by Raymond First, and it meets all the criteria. So we wanted to make sure, because if it didn't meet that criteria, then it would not be accepted for a grant program.
How does the evaluation through a work book or through masters, or how do they evaluate these books?
Basically, what they are, they're graded text. Okay, so you would have a basket of approximately 25 to 30 books, and each of those books would have a graded readability level. And then what you would probably do is, and there are skill cards that go along with it. So what you would basically do is, if you had an idea or there may be an overview, there's a lot of materials that go with it. You would determine the readability level of the child in your room that you're working with, if you're working in resource, or whether you're working in AIS, and then you would select that book. The other real strong part of this program is it's something that you can take home and the kids can read with their parents. And it's part of it is to really motivate them to read. As I said, it's one of the principal parts, but it's not necessarily the total program. Electricity. Last year, we locked into Merida Highest, at 6.67 cents. And this year, we had to lock in when we had a chance. We locked into Suez Energy Resources at 9.119 cents. Suez quoted us 9.119. Merida quoted us 9.43. But we didn't want to get caught in the bind that we got caught in last year. And nicely said we would have to pay a penalty in leaving them, so it wouldn't be cost effective for us next year. So it's really provided by NICE, but it's the provider that they deal with. So that's why we're still staying with NICE, because otherwise we have to pay a penalty. But of their service providers, Suez is the one that's the lowest, so we locked in with them.
So that's a 50% increase, right? 50% increase from last year.
The Harvard,
I have a question about one electrical rates. How about the fuel rate? Did we lock in the fuel rate? 'Cause
Yes,
last year we missed it.
no, we didn't. We locked in.
What did we get? What was it?
We locked in with BOCES, so whatever BOCES gets, that's what it'll be. We don't really know yet, because I don't think they would be locked in until later. But we have a date in which we have to decide whether we lock in with BOCES or not.
Okay, so we're going with the BOCES number, we're not locking in on our own like we.
No.
Okay.
That's what we did last year. Okay, the Harvard UN, a suggestion was made at one of the board meetings that we would look at setting up an alumni association. And Harry gave me a letter to that effect saying that he would be, he would like to do that. However, in researching it, if we were to set up an alumni association, it would have to be separate from the school, have to have its own charter, its own officers, etc. So one of the recommendations that was made in discussions today, and I did check this out with Kathy, would be if someone was willing to contact some, we wouldn't call it alumni association, but some of the people who had been in and asked for donations, and if that money was given to NCCS for supporting the Harvard Model UN, it could then be put into the account because it would be a donation rather than an actual organization.
Does the UN have an account right now?
They do have an account.
Why can't we just put the money in that account?
Right, that's it, if it came as donations, but what we had mentioned at one of the
These are
meetings.
donations to NCCS, and then we throw
Right.
it in there.
But what we had mentioned at one of the meetings would be a great idea if we were to set up an alumni association, because there are so many people that have been involved in this over the years that it's been there, and find out all the names, set up a database, etc. But in order to do that, you would have to have some individuals step forward. So we thought as an alternative, we could probably just, if they have a list of names or whatever, send letters out and ask if anyone wants to donate to NCCS for the Harvard Fund, then we could put it into the account. We could build it that way. Unless there are some individuals who want to step up and actually take over and create an alumni association.
And would the account, would the funds in the account now be used to do the solicitation?
I don't know. That's a good question. You think you're talking about mailing and stuff?
Yeah.
It would have to go to the.
You'd have to go through that process.
That process.
Sure, but, rather than.
They might design a flyer or something as a group of students and then vote on putting it out to all their alumni. If they want to do that.
I think it adds to the experience to the being involved in it.
Right. The evaluation given by a per diem psychologist, I was asked to check on that to see whether they still have to be signed off or by our school psychologist. And it's the same way with the other two that are doing it in other districts. The Rich Foreman Scholarship, I did call Rich, apologize, had a nice conversation, very nice man, and explained that we were still interested, and yes, we did want him to continue, and I told him that I would pass that information on to the high school. Talked to Christine today, and she said that Donna Parker, who does the scholarship at the high school, is responsible for the call, and he is going to give us a $500 scholarship, and he will be contacting her as to the criteria that he wants. So thank you, Linda. I have here the car report, and what I was going to review the whole thing, but basically I went through it myself and looked at some of the percentages, etc. But usually we get this in February, but because of data warehouse, because of the fact of trying to get all the data and everything in place, they basically came out in April. So what I'm going to do is ask the administrators to maybe present their individual schools at our next meeting. The one thing that I did notice, though, even as accurate as the data is, if you look at, just to give you an example, if you take a look at the composite for Northeastern Clinton Central School, and you were to look at the high school, the separate high school one, you will find that the cohort 2001 is different. One has a cohort at 134, which you have on the composite, and the other one has a cohort of 130. So now if you're calculating your percentages, it's different. So I know that data is really crucial, but again, when you have different reports on various things, so we're going to take a look at the whole situation, and hopefully we'll make a report to you next year.
Bob, when you decide to make that report, could I ask that we get a standardized report from each principal in terms of the information that they're going to present so that we can see a progression and make comparisons because we haven't done this in a while, but the last time we got varied types of reports.
Okay.
And it would be nice if we got the same
Standard, okay.
place.
Okay. Okay, the audit committee charter is there. Our committee met, we looked at various things, and it's only on the information because that's the first reading. It gives you a chance to look at it. At the next board meeting, it will come under discussion. And then the pyramids. I did call back to try to find out what that was, because last time we had a question in regards to the amount of money that we are being charged. It comes under 611 and 619, which are special education funds. They're called SEDCAR funds. There's a sub-allocation of federal funds, and they're really flow-through funds. Because the independent preschools, such as Pyramids and Teddy Bears, have been operating at a deficit, the federal government has been allowing them to tap into some of the funds that they give the district. And this is done through the grants, so they're really called flow-through funds. They give them money that they can access through our grants. I asked if it's basically the same for every district, and she said no. Basically, what we have for our district out of 611 for each student is $1,007. And that's also, since 611 doesn't just cover CPSE, it covers CSE, that's also for the CSE students. Out of 619 for the CPSE, there's a fee of $617 that's allotted for each student. So depending on how many students we have that go to Teddy Bear, or how many students we have that go to Pyramids, which are the preschools that we utilize, they then turn around. And it's not done as soon as the child goes in, it's usually a year. So then this was calculated for December 1st of the previous year. So the bill for December 1st of 04, we had 9 students that they serviced, and that's what the bill is for. So next year on December 1st is when they will recalculate.
All right, so then this is not what we were talking about with the pre-K grant.
No, this is not
Pre-K
pre-K.
grant, no, I know it's not pre-K, but the pre-K grant flows through the district, but it's not our money. I mean, it's
Right, it's federal money that is given to us to
to
have
give
on
to them.
grants.
So
Right.
if we didn't give it to them, we would not have it. Okay. But now this $1,007 and the $617, that's our money.
Well, we have to provide it, I mean, we have to pay it, so it's
But-
full through money. Yeah, if, for instance,
If we didn't have these children, this would be still our money to
Right.
use.
But if we didn't have those children, they may not give us that amount of money either when it comes to the 611 and the 619.
I'm just understanding, is this flow through money, or is this?
This is flow through money. It's my understanding that if we didn't have the preschool children at Teddy Bears and Pyramids, we would not be given that amount of money. So it's flow through money based on the number of kids we have at those two programs.
But it's in 1 year in arrears, so this,
Correct.
we had 9, so maybe next year they'll allow for 9, but if we have 15, then that will catch up to us for the following year.
But those two services are basically for the special ed pre-K, those who've been identified as needing special help.
Yes, they all
prior to
are.
okay.
This is all for
The
special
Pyramids.
needs at the preschool level.
But that's separate from what happens with the monies that we have for the Rouse's Point program, right?
That's correct.
That's a totally
That's a
different.
different program. So it's a grant, special ed. That's okay. You asked for a school bus update. Basically what I did is I asked Carl to give us a list of the different buses, mileage on each of the buses, and which one that he would be looking at as far as replacing. Bus 95 will not pass another inspection and will have to be taken off the road on May 10th. Bus 6 won't pass another inspection, will have to be taken off the road on September 6th. And then he identified buses that may not pass another inspection, which would be 4, 5, 100, 105, and 106. So this gives you a pretty good breakdown of the mileage. This year's junior prom was a decision that was made, so I put it under information by the senior class. Maybe many of you know, but just want to bring it out, bring it to your attention that it's going to be held at the Rainbow Tavern on May 20th. It's my understanding that because it's so difficult to get this place, that it's already been booked there for the next 2 years. Many students will be eating there before the prom, so there really will be no busing that will be involved. We're having difficulty now to do it because we're getting larger classes and our cafeteria is being used as a cafeteria. And to get flame retardant materials and meet all those specifications is becoming very costly. So I believe that's why they decided to take the prom elsewhere.
Please tell me how much the tickets were
To the prom?
Does anybody know?
45, I think.
What was it?
45.
45.
Got up progressively as the date was closer.
That was the next question. So there was an increase in, so what did they originally start out at?
Doesn't that, it's because of, it's partly because of the dinner, right?
And, well, I'm not, a lot of the kids are going to stay there for dinner. Some of the kids already rented limos and they have reservations in Plattsburgh. But they're hoping eventually they can get all the kids to go there for dinner and just stay there for everything. But I can't tell you the details, of course.
Maybe 35. I'd have to look back.
So what I'm asking is the $45, does that include the dinner? And if not, was there a difference? Because that, you know, I was asked, and I just couldn't give a positive answer.
Or Ms. Morris.
I wouldn't think it would include dinner because some students are opting to go to dinner there and some students are opting to go elsewhere. So I would have to ask.
So there would be a difference. I mean, there would be a difference.
We'll find out for you. Thank you. Okay, because it's a good question.
How about security? What about if they leave? Are they allowed to come back in?
No.
Okay, how about, is some other function going on that night in the other part?
If you're addressing the alcohol, it's a roll-away bar, and so it's all self-contained and rolled completely out of the area. There won't be any alcohol anywhere that night.
But I'm concerned, when they walk into the second part, the blue room, where there might be alcohol that being served that night. Or are we going to be able to, there should be bathrooms in the white room where you don't have to go to the blue room.
I asked the question today, do I need to worry about any issues with alcohol? And I was told, no, it's all roll-away, and it all will be nowhere at all, so. I wasn't aware there was 2 different rooms, but I don't think there's any alcohol in that.
Eileen said because she's been, they put a seated individual that prevents one person going from one room to the other. So that they don't go from right to right.
We'll have our own faculty
Yeah.
managing that, right? I mean,
Super Bowls will be there as well.
in uniform?
No, not in uniform.
We have a lot of Champlain,
That would be
Mr.
more
Randall and myself to roll.
Okay, the next is the last day of school for the high school student attendance is June 14th. This has become a big issue because they have split the global, and the global is going to be in the afternoon, and we're looking at an attendance day. I contacted Bill Scott today, and he told me that almost everyone in the district is bringing students in on that day. So we're talking with Christine. What we're going to do is we're going to have the first 2 periods, and then for the students who want to stay for review classes, because they have global in the afternoon, there'll be review classes going on, and then they can stay for the global reviews. But we really stay much longer than 2 periods, because we have to take approximately 200 desks and put them into the gymnasium, which means we're going to take several classrooms.
You get credit for the day then?
Yes, we
You
do.
just take till 11 o'clock, you get credit for the day.
Yes, that's why a lot of people are looking at this issue. It was one we discussed at CSO. And
2 periods won't get us to 11 o'clock.
Pardon?
2 periods.
Well, no, I just, basically, as long as you bring the students in and you have something planned for the students, some people aren't even going to do that, but it's the idea of bringing them in for training purposes. The middle school is going to go one more day, we'll go to the 15th, and then the next day, which is on the 16th, I believe, is the 8th grade trip for the grade skate. So the last school day for the high school, the 14th, and the last day for the middle school.
Are there any athletes for elementary allowed to school?
Of course not.
I'm sure there will be, but we haven't really got down to finalizing that part.
It would be nice, because they have quite a bit of things to do too.
I know. National Honor Society came to us today. They wanted to have a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, which would take place on May 24th at 5:30. I believe they cleared it with you, Josie. Everything is fine. I think it's a fundraiser that they're looking at. And it's going to be, I talked to Aaron today, it is going to be co-ed. So you probably would have to have at least one girl on your team, or maybe at least one boy, whichever way you look at it, who's going to be. And it's going to be open to the NCCS students.
So it's just for NCCS students?
Yeah. I don't think
Not
we're
open to
going
the
to.
public.
But of course, we can look at squad play team, right?
Since we're
We know
talking
we can't
basketball,
play, we want everybody to participate.
since we're talking basketball, does backboard get fixed?
No,
Any idea?
I have not heard any.
We're still waiting.
It's been sent to their insurance, but I haven't heard anything yet. So this, when I talked to John about this tournament, I said it's more than likely going to have to be in the middle school and maybe one end of the high school.
Do you have an idea of where the proceeds for this are going to go?
Well, one of the things that they mentioned is if this backboard doesn't work, that they would be willing, they would want to help out with the replacement of the backboard.
And the rest will probably go in the fund.
In the fund. Okay, this brings us to the survey. Last time, we had said that we would discuss whether we wanted to do active consent or passive consent. Just to refresh memory for you from CLB, you can do one or the other. If you have an active consent, that means that the form has to go home, the parent has to sign that form, and it has to come back before the student can take the survey. If you have the passive consent, you send the form home. If the parents don't send it back with a negative response, you assume that it's okay to administer it to everyone.
Well, not just because Lynn is here, but I think it should be, I think we need to have the parents sign, yes, they can do it.
Didn't we
I
always go,
think-
we went active in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I think just leaving it home, you know, who knows?
Part of the problem is it may not even get
I was
there.
going to say,
Well,
every time
then-
we won't get home.
No, but again, that if the kid wants to do it bad enough, they'll see that it gets home.
No, I meant for a passive consent.
Oh,
We
yeah.
get home, so.
And if they don't get home or get approved by the parents, then it's assumed that they're allowed to participate.
If you have the passive consent. If you have the active consent, unless they bring that form saying they have permission, they cannot take the survey.
But if you remember, the reason they came to see us with, is they need those
They
statistics.
do need the statistics,
Be
absolutely.
able to apply for programs that our students can benefit from. And what happens is exactly what we were just talking about. Students forget to bring it home, they forget to bring it back, and that's why they were asking the board to consider the passive consent. Most schools, according to what we were told, do the passive consent. As far as the surveys are available, the questions that are asked are available. It's simply a matter of, they put the things together, there's no signing of a name, there is no personal information to identify the student. It's simply a matter of trying to get a handle on what the risks are that our students are taking, and finding out what needs we need to address to try to help them overcome any problems that they're having. And that's why the group came to us and asked for the passive consent and why we should consider it.
I did talk to them after, and I told them that we were going to discuss it. And if we don't get the passive consent, then basically they would probably look more at an incentive type of program where if you bring it back, you get some type of incentive. So it's a board decision.
I have a, I guess, more basic question. Isn't this information already available? It seems like they've been looking into things for years. You hear about, I don't know if it's broken out in terms of rural versus urban, but, kinds of things
But the
students are involved in.
The studies generate the findings when it comes down to it. There's a need, if they can show there's a greater need, like for instance, New York or something like that, and they would be able to supply the funds. The next thing is finding, they like to do these surveys, not only, and again, it's a two-edged sword, because you get the funding, you get additional programs, so you benefit.
And it's the communities that care, and it's also the more local you can make it in terms of knowing what the specific problems are in our community, and then they use it for the whole region to try to see whether it's like service, we can get like
It
services.
seems to me, there isn't something about 5 years ago along this line.
Oh, yeah, it's every four, they try to do the group every 4 years, so that you have the same cohort for some of those years to see how things are changing and progressing. So they'll do like the 8th grade, and then do them again as
No,
12th
I mean,
grade.
there was a regional thing, we could do it across our whole North Country, and something that had been generated by a survey similar to this, and it was somewhat very shocking, some of the things that were being learned.
Yes.
I understand you need to kind of somebody's survey to generate funding, I understand this, but, we're not going to find anything. I don't think the survey is really going to find anything. We know, I think, the social science, the human service people out there, the social sciences out there know the kinds of problems. These people dealing with the kind of behaviors they're dealing with now. Again, you just get the funds and deal with that versus going out and replicating something we're already doing.
What is the relativity of the accuracy of
Well, that's one presumes this instrument's been validated.
The instruments only individuals will take. In other words, the questions, I think, have been well designed so that they target the information they need. Now, whether the students respond to it or not,
They do try to have question the same thing several different ways
So they
to
can
see
look
if they're getting a similar answer or if it's a bonus.
So basically, what we're looking for is consensus of the board for either a passive consent or an active consent. Is that what you're looking for? Do we need any more discussion, or do we have an opinion on it?
I support the active consent.
I support the action.
There's two. Active?
I like the idea of some kind of incentive to bring it back and we get.
Orland?
Active.
Linda? Silva, active? So we'll go with active. Thank you.
GED, okay. We've discussed this several times, taking a look at the need. You asked us to come back to you with approximately how many students do we have that would be interested. I'm talking to Christine today, and I think we're looking at probably between 10 and 14, if I'm not mistaken, is that correct? And then,
Well, right now.
and what it would cost, the minimum amount of instruction that we can provide is 6 hours. So looking at 3 hours of instruction with a half-hour prep, and we look at different ways of being done, we would look at getting a substitute who was not teaching, but who would want to do this. I think you could provide the whole program for the year, because you only meet twice a week for 3 hours with the students. We would try to isolate that situation so it wouldn't be part of the normal education program. Be about $3,000.
It would be during the day.
Probably during the day, at least, so they could catch the bus in, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the
Isn't
transportation.
that defeat the purpose of us trying to educate students and keep them in school by offering them an alternative program during school hours? I don't think we should do it during school hours.
Or maybe you could do it after, but, you know, there's different ways of doing it.
I
You
can
can
do it at school
after.
for 3 hours, or I can come to school for 6.5 hours, but if I'm gonna pick another student like that, I'm gonna pick 3 hours and get my GED, which may mean the same thing. I just don't think we should encourage students from missing school.
Almost all the districts are involved in this process now, Mike, and if we don't, basically what happens is students become dropouts, and if they become dropouts, then it affects our cohort. It's an alternative, and it's not available for all students. I mean, I don't think it's a choice of whether you want to go to the GED or whether you want to graduate. It's just the fact that for those students who can't do it academically with the courses that are being required, it gives them an out to get something. And basically, even with the GED, they can go to college.
Yeah, how many are gonna take the easy way out? There's gonna be a bunch that are gonna take the easy way out that are trying now. I'm against doing it during the day.
I think also, part of the discussion, at least my recollection, was to get the details on not just the cost and the numbers, but what's the criteria? I heard earlier in the budget meeting that we had no choice if somebody wanted to go to ARC-Ed. It would just be a comparable thing that we have no choice if somebody says, I want GED, they get GED. I guess I'm a bit uncomfortable with that, as I said previously. We're undermining, again, maybe there's a way of setting criteria that can limit this kind of thing, but I think we undermine our basic program if we don't have some sense of control. I understand there are those few people that fall through the cracks, and it'd be nice to have an option for them. But I think this needs to be laid out in such a manner